Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. Today's a bit of a different video and it's a fairly reflective one, I would have to say. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about change and growth in my life and just really embracing the pivot, especially in my 30s. And I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about some of the things that I've learned. I just feel like over the last few years, and honestly, even recently, I've been in a season where so many things are evolving so fast. My career, my goals, my routines, and even how I identify success in my life. And if I'm being totally honest, I don't always love change. Like I do like to switch things up, but sometimes I want certainty. And I think a lot of us do want certainty in our lives to an extent. We want the plan, we want things to make sense immediately, and that's just not how life is all the time, unfortunately. But lately I've been learning that sometimes growth will ask you to pivot before you feel fully ready. So today I just want to have like a real chat about what I'm learning in this season, and I hope that you guys can take something away from it. So I made some notes and I'm just gonna kind of go through some of my thought processes. So number one is that sometimes the thing that you wanted changes, like the goalpost changes. I'm learning that sometimes if something made sense at one point, it doesn't mean that it's always going to make sense for you. It's not always gonna be the thing that you want forever. Something that made sense for a version of you might not make sense for you as a different version of yourself, if that makes sense. I honestly used to think that changing your mind meant that you were inconsistent or that you were quitting on something, and I still battle and struggle with that idea, to be honest with you, because I've noticed that a lot of the time when I am changing something in my life, I'm really excited. I'm like wholeheartedly ready for a pivot. I'm ready for change, and I'm like, why aren't I sad? Like, why don't I feel an attachment to the thing that I used to want so badly? And I still battle with that idea of like, you're a quitter or you're just like giving up too quickly. But now I'm honestly starting to see it more as growth. Like that version of you really wanted that thing. And now that you accomplished it, or now that you have had that thing, you realize that maybe you want more, you want better for yourself, or you're understanding yourself a bit more, you're in a different space, and there's something else that maybe aligns with you more. Honestly, in my 20s, I pictured one version of what success looked like. And then life experiences honestly changed me. Like I got those things that I thought would make me feel successful. And it's not that they didn't make me feel successful. It's just that once you get them, you realize that there's more to life than accomplishing those things. And that's just the reality of it. What once felt aligned may not feel that way forever, but that doesn't mean failure. It just means that you're growing, you're changing, you're evolving, and that's honestly a good sign. I feel like a big one for me is my career. Like I think my career is always evolving and changing. Like obviously in high school and things like that, it was like the dream was to go to PT school and get the degree, and then you don't really visualize what that looks like after that accomplishment, right? After you get that degree and you walk off that stage and you have that piece of paper, it's like, now what? Like there's going to be a version of you after that accomplishment that is going to have to figure out what's next. And so I think my career has constantly evolved, and career is such a huge piece of all of us. Like honestly, in a capitalistic society, it's what defines us half the time. And I know living in the DMV, like that's one of the questions that people ask almost immediately when they meet you, like what do you do? And so unfortunately it is such a huge piece of our identity, but I've always wanted my career to reflect who I am personally. And so I've learned that evolving is part of self-love and self-care, and I'm not going to stay in one place just so that I can say that I've done this thing for however long if it's just not aligned anymore. So not to go off on a tangent, but that's kind of like the takeaway that I wanted to hit on. Okay, the second piece is that you honestly don't have to know the whole plan, right? I think I've spent a lot of my life wanting to have the 5-year plan. I've wanted to know exactly what the next 5 years is going to look like. And I've realized that as I get older, my next 5 years becomes a little bit more obscured or like blurry, just because I'm realizing where I am right now isn't what I imagined my life to look like 5 years before. And I'm glad that my life doesn't look like what I intended it to look like for the 5 years prior. You know what I mean? Because it actually looks better than what it is that I initially set forth for myself. And so I struggle with the fact that I always want to know exactly how things are going to turn out, and I struggle with uncertainty. And I think it's like a control thing. Like I want to have more control over my outcome and my circumstance, but that's just not how life goes sometimes. And I'm realizing that a lot of the time you just get the next step and you're unable to see the full staircase. I think like a lot of us, I like that certainty. I want things to feel reliable, and when that's not the case, my anxiety kicks in and I start trying to control everything, and that just makes everything worse. Sometimes the next step appears before the full picture, and we really just have to focus on that next step and be a little bit more present. And that's just what I've been trying to work on, is let's just focus on the next step. I don't know what the next week, month, year, 5 years, 10 years is going to look like, but if I can just focus on that next step, then I know that we're on the right track. And also learning to trust small nudges. Like I think I'm a very like intuitive person. I know not everyone believes this, but I do believe in like this internal compass that is guiding me, and whatever spiritual beliefs that you believe in, I believe in God, but I do feel like God gives me small nudges in different directions that I'm supposed to go, and every time I follow those small nudges, I feel like I end up in the right place, in the right space, and embracing that and being okay with the decisions that you're making, and whether or not is that the little nudge I'm feeling or not. Like it's hard to differentiate sometimes, but there's a certain level of trusting that you have to have in that feeling, and kind of just going with it and being okay with the outcome. So by that, I've been starting to say yes to more opportunities that feel aligned. I think a lot of the time I used to, not saying that this is bad, but I think I would rely on my community and my support system to help me figure out what decisions to make, and I still do that. I'm a Libra, I'm very indecisive, but I think relying on that internal compass, that internal feeling of like that knowing of yourself is really important, because everyone's life, we're all on different paths. Like everyone's life is different and no one's lived your life before, so it's really important to trust your own gut feeling and that intuition, and know that regardless of what everyone else thinks that you're supposed to do, if something's telling you to go left when everyone else is telling you to go right, you better go left, girl. Go left. Just honestly having a sentiment of openness and experimentation, and like being okay with trying new things and failing and getting back up and trying again is so crucial in understanding yourself and learning how it is that you adapt, and that you, I don't know, it's just, I've learned so much about myself in the uncomfortability, is that a word? In my discomfort, I've learned so much about myself, and I wouldn't have it any other way, because being comfortable is now uncomfortable for me. Okay, my third thought is, I kind of touched on this already, but that my definition of success has changed significantly in my 30s. The old version of me was like very much focused on success being like hustle and achievement and girl bossing my way all the way to the top. And I think that was like a cultural thing that we all kind of were in for a little while. Not to speak for everybody, but I surely was. Like I was on Pinterest painting all those quotes about girl boss, whatever. And not to say that that didn't help me get to where I am today, but I just think where I'm at now doesn't require me to girl boss as much, because I've already girl bossed enough. And I think there's like a certain level of girl bossing that like it's just exhausting at a certain point, at least for me. So yeah, another one is like productivity. Like I'm still working on this one, because I think I have a hard time just like sitting and not being productive. I think, again, In this society, we tend to equate our productivity to our value, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And if you're not being productive, then like you're not contributing to society, and like, why are you here, low-key? I think existing and just like being okay with your existence and not having to produce or, I don't know, like prove anything to anyone that you have value, is something that I'm still working on. A new version that I'm thriving to really embody is that success looks like peace. That's a big one. Flexibility is a very big one for me. I value flexibility and time, and I'm realizing as I get older that time is like the most valuable thing that you have, and how is it that you want to spend it. I'm not saying be productive in the time that you spend, but what are the things that are important to you, and are you pouring into those things? Another one is meaningful work. Like if I'm going to work, I want it to have meaning to me. It doesn't have to have meaning to anybody else, but I want it to feel meaningful to me, and that's a huge one because I think our judgment gets a little bit cloudy with whether or not something is actually meaningful to us or to the world. Also freedom of time, freedom of creativity, all those things are so important to me in this new version that I'm going towards. And my health, like my health is first and foremost. I think I've talked in previous videos about how my health wasn't the best in previous periods of my life and my career, and I've seen firsthand the implications of not prioritizing your health and your well-being first and foremost so that you can pour into everybody else, and that's so important to me. And unfortunately that isn't the case for everyone. I think it's a privilege to be able to prioritize your health and your well-being and your mental health as well. But if you have the ability to, that's something that we should all prioritize, and I wish more people had the ability to prioritize that because I think the world would be a lot healthier and happier. So all that to say, in my 30s, I'm definitely prioritizing sustainability in my life, my health, my well-being, my peace overall. I care about work that feels aligned and that gives me flexibility, but also meaning and joy. Okay, my next point is that it's okay to be multi-passionate or multi-passionate. For a long time, I felt pressure to pick one thing and one thing only. And obviously I did that for the first quarter of my life. I chose one thing and I went for it and I got that thing. As I continue on into the second quarter of life, I found that I have so many more passions aside from PT. I've found Pilates, I've found wellness and health coaching, I've found content creation and my love for that, and editing and filming and cameras in general, capturing moments, photography, all those things. I've found corporate wellness. It's on and on. There's so many other things that I am passionate about, and I'd be doing myself a disservice if I didn't allow myself to do and explore those other passions. I'm honestly realizing I'm just not meant to fit in one box, and I'm never going to. And maybe the pivot is just becoming more of yourself, which sounds so deep, low-key, but like it is. Like I think I've never felt more like myself than I do today, and that's all because I'm allowing myself to explore and create and do all the things that bring me joy. So I think that's truly the pivot there. And lastly, I want to go into why I'm trying to stop resisting change. I honestly don't think I'm truly on the other side of this lesson yet. I'm definitely still going through this, but I'm learning that resisting change usually makes things harder, and I think I usually feel less like myself and a bit more miserable when I try to resist change when I feel ready for it. Sometimes life is just trying to redirect you to something that fits better, that is better for you. There's a certain level of trust that I'm trying to build for myself, and there's a certain level of uncertainty that I'm trying to be more comfortable with. All of that just comes with allowing myself to evolve and accepting each version of myself as I evolve. So that's kind of like where I'm at right now with all of this. And honestly, I'd really love to hear from you guys. Have you ever gone through a season like this in your life where you're pivoting, you're evolving? And if so, what did that look like for you? Maybe it was career, maybe it was a relationship, maybe it was just your identity, whatever it is. I think so many of us are figuring things out in real time and not enough people are talking about that. And sometimes it just helps to know that other people are going through the same thing and that you're not alone. Like, we're all going through this every single day, all the time. Things are constantly changing, and it's just nice to know that it's just nice to be able to relate on that tip. I'm gonna close out the video here. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you like videos like this, please let me know below. If not, if you like the vlogs, let me know below. And I just appreciate you guys for being here and for watching and supporting my channel. Make sure to like, leave a comment, subscribe. It really does help support what I'm doing here, my channel, and I hope that this video resonated with one of you guys at least. And yeah, I hope you guys are all doing really well, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. See you guys soon. Bye.